The season has come to a close. We got to break it down. The Auburn Tigers have fallen in the Final Four to an SEC foe and rival. We're going to discuss it, the score, the stats, and the storylines, and say farewell to an amazing season. Let's get into all those different things right now. War Eagle, everybody, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, and we talk about the Auburn experience. That Auburn experience to us is all about a few things: Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff. I'll put 4 things up there. If it's orange and blue, it's what we do. Maybe I put 4 up there because of the Final Four. I don't know. I got 4 on the brain right now. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us in what we're going to do in this particular live stream, whether you're live on the replay. We're going to be breaking down the final game of the 2024-2025 Auburn men's basketball season. Thank you guys so much for joining us and being part of the show today. Whether you're live, replay, we'd love for you to smash that like button for us. Not for the team. Well, yes, for the team still, but for the performance, for the ending. But we still would love for you to do that. If you can join in on the conversation here in the chat live, drop your comments and all that stuff. We're going to hear from you. We are going to discuss the stats. We are going to discuss the storylines, the team stats, the individual stats a little bit. I know that's not where everybody's mind is right now, and understandably so, but we need to do our due diligence here in wrapping up the season. And yes, we will begin to look forward. Yes, we will begin to ask the questions that we want to start discussing about what's next for the Tigers, because that's how we deal with things like this. Certainly all of that can be on the table, but we're going to do our due diligence to discuss this game. Like I said, as you come in, smash that like button. Let us know that you're here with the War Eagle. We want to say hello to you if you're here, hear from you and some of the perspectives. There was a lot of comments in the chat that I didn't have time to look through already, so you might have to bring them up again if you want them discussed on the stream today. So if you can, please hold the future focus questions, topics, even in the chat till the end. We will get to those. And so let's focus right here and right now. How are we feeling? Has everybody gotten over the disappointment, the initial frustrations? Certainly there's a lot that we could discuss here tonight, and I'm probably going to leave some things out because I'm dealing with my own frustrations. For those of you that don't know, I was at the watch party, had an absolutely outstanding time. Saw lots of great people, saw some viewers, saw some listeners, however you just describe yourself. Saw a lot of you there, and I appreciate you guys coming up and saying hello, and thankful that you came to town to spend some time on the loveliest village on the plains. It was a great crowd. It was awesome. It was so much fun. The crowd popping there every time something amazing would happen was awesome. I'll probably have a little bit of a reel for you guys just of what it was like to experience that, even despite the loss. So I'll be looking for all of that. That's going to be coming up on our content later on down the line. But we got to let the initial disappointment. I see bittersweet. I think that's appropriate thing to bring up right now. It's from Bill's Mafia. I would agree that bittersweet is a very appropriate discussion point on this. You certainly are bitter of what just happened, the frustrations of how close you were yet again. But also you can recognize the greatness of this season, how sweet it was, how elite it was, how final it was. Yes, one of the 4 teams in this incredible basketball season that ended up at the very end fighting for a national championship. It is awesome for this team, but certainly bitter and sweet at the same time. I didn't start off like I normally do, so let me do that. Your score, your stat, your storylines. Your score, 79-73. The Gators take down the Tigers in the Final Four in San Antonio. Your stat that I have for you this evening is 16. That is your points off of turnovers. There's already a video out there, I think, from AL.com showing Bruce reading that stat. Very, very interesting to look and see if that is the big difference in the game. It seemed like he was focused on that and reading the stats to himself and his staff at the end of the game. So we'll look at that in just a second. It could be the big difference. The big storyline, we've already talked about it. Your Tigers have bounced out of the Final Four, but they make their second Final Four in program history. Bruce Pearl cementing himself as the best Auburn basketball coach, in my opinion, if he hadn't already done it in Auburn history. Janai Broom's legacy is secure. Dylan Cardwell's legacy is secure. Everybody's time here is secure in what they accomplished this year. So be proud, be disappointed, but be proud at the same time. Okay. Sherry says too soon. It's not going to change anytime soon. So we might as well talk about it a little bit, Sherry. So sorry if it's too soon for you, but we're going to talk about it. Let's see here. Corey says, no disappointment with me. Very happy with the team we had this year. Can't wait to see what we have coming up next year. Certainly a great perspective to have here on this particular loss eve. Let's look at it, okay? And I want to ask you the question for those of you that are watching live. It's never fun to give a player of the game for a loss. But let's give credit where credit is due. Who is your player of the game? Who's the person that made the biggest difference down the line for you or throughout the entirety of the game? Who would you give that? And we're going to talk about individuals here. We're going to give credit to others, not just necessarily the player of the game. But if you have an opinion on that, please do put that in the chat. We'd love to hear your perspectives on that particular thing. I think Scarab is here to be a troll, and if he continues that, he will be booted from the chat. We're talking about Auburn stuff here. We're asking about the Auburn player of the game. So he can certainly be here if he wants to, but I'm messing with you mainly. But as long as you're here to bring productive stuff, we're asking about the Auburn player of the game. I had a few. I knew it was Micah, and I figured it was. I couldn't remember if that was your particular thing. You know, it's funny. Micah doesn't show up for the times when Alabama has just lost, but he sure does show up when Auburn has lost. It's interesting. It's an interesting correlation. All right, let's get back to it and talk about it a little bit. We've got some individual stats for you. Janai Broom finishes with 15 points and 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals. Janai had a lot of steals tonight. 2 blocks for him. He had 3 turnovers and only 3 personal fouls. Does not have a great day from the free throw line, but an overall okay day offensively, defensively for him. It's not a bad game for him. It's not a great game. It's just meeting expectations, in my opinion, game for him. Dylan had a little bit more of an offensive game, 9 points. He had 1 steal in this game. He made 1 out of 2 of his free throws, and he had 8 total rebounds in 23 minutes of play. We've really seen Dylan step up his play throughout this tournament, which you would hope that your leaders would do, and they do, and he has done that in so many categories that don't get noticed. But tonight he gets a little bit more of the love from the offensive stats, so he should give you something to feel good about at the end of this game. Chad Baker-Mazara. So here's an interesting thing right here, and I think if you're going to go to the easy player of the game, and it's probably true, you're looking at the top scorer, 18 points for Chad Baker-Mazara, 6 of 10 from the field, 4 for 7 from the three-point arc. He gets 2 rebounds, 4 steals, and 1 block. Only has 3 turnovers and 3 personal fouls in this game. I think right there you're looking at your player of the game. And can we give the man his due? Because everybody's been on the kid's back about, was he going to cause another issue in this thing? I mean, you just wouldn't let it go. Troll fans would do that. Some very obsessive Auburn fans about that would just try to be his parent and stuff, and just let the kid learn and grow and play and let the coaches coach. And he hasn't had the best opportunity or the best starts in this tournament offensively. Here tonight, he does it for you. So he shows up when people asked him to. We could have just probably had a few more offensive capabilities in some other areas from some other players. We'll certainly look at that a little bit. WT wants to give his player of the game to Cardwell for the most wins of any Auburn basketball player in history of Auburn basketball. Certainly, that is a trump card. I don't think it's fair to apply just to this game, but I know that how much you love Dylan, and I love Dylan as well, so you can certainly give that to him. Unbeaten Lake wants Dylan back as a coach. Keep him a part of this team. And this is a future topic. Certainly, let's try to keep focused on the game right now, but let me use what Unbeaten Lake said here to bring up this fact. I've said this before. If Auburn, I'm not just talking about athletics, if Auburn University does not find a way to keep him on the payroll in some capacity, on a podcast or something, as the ultimate marketer personality for Auburn, they have failed. Now, he may want to go do other things for a little bit. That's fine, but certainly I think we know how much we love him and how much he loves Auburn. Let me address this for the chat. There is a new setup. Part of the reason why we were a little delayed tonight. I know it looks weird. Make you jokes. That's fine. But we're trying to find new ways to do the things that we need to do on the road that make it a little bit easier for me to do that. So if you're watching the live portion of the show, you're getting to see the interesting setup in the back behind me. Trust me, I'm loving it so far because we don't need to get that. We need to get back into the game. Dalton's here, says War Eagle, disappointing loss, but what a fun season. I love the perspective of the majority that I've seen. And I think it's really bugging some of the overly negative fans out there that just do that for clicks, and to see the collective Auburn fandom not being okay with the loss, but accepting the fact that you can't change it, and we should be thankful about what this team did put together this season. Andy wants to ask, still trying to figure out why Bruce quit going to Broome less in the post. They couldn't stop him even with him banged up. I think we probably have to go back and look at that, Andy, and see if that was actually true or not. I think sometimes we see something and it looks pretty obvious to us and we don't have the full picture. I think Bruce probably saw that as well, and there's got to be a reason for that. Maybe he was hurting more. Who knows? If that is a trend that you saw, that is correct. I think it's very easy for us to forget that we're not operating with all the information, but certainly he did have a much more effective, as the majority of the team did, in the first half. I did like this comment. That's funny. Oz behind the curtain. I'm in the curtain right now. It's not that bad, is it? Let's see here. The worst part of college sports is you get so little time with players. I wish we could have had players like Janai and Dylan for 10 years. Oh, what a great comment. That's probably the comment of the stream right now. All right, back to the stats real quick. We need to get through this. I know y'all want to focus on future stuff, move on to this thing, but we want to wrap up our time here today. Denver Jones with 10 points. That was a sneaky 10 points from him tonight. I didn't realize he had into double digits. 8 points from Miles Kelly. I think probably we and Miles are a little bit disappointed that we didn't get more out of him. 2 3-pointers tonight. He kind of did what we've gotten used to him doing over the last couple of games. I'm sure he's probably, not, I want to say disappointed, but expecting more of himself. So I really do think that's an area where we could have used a little bit more from him, but I love Miles Kelly and what he's contributed to the team this year. Chaney Johnson with 6 points. Chris Moore gets in, but doesn't score any points. Tahad Pettiford with only 7 points tonight. So I noticed a lot of people talking about this with Tahad tonight, about him looking like a freshman tonight. Duh. This is what happened, folks. I mean, we get these phenoms in here and they build up these expectations for us that confirm some of our lofty expectations for it. And then we fail to realize that these are still young kids that can make mistakes. Even Cooper Flagg still makes mistakes as a freshman, as big as a phenom as he is. So I'm not going to be too hard on Tahad this evening. You know, you're always due for one of those types of games. It could have had, a better offensive game, maybe taken care of. Let's look and see what took in. That's not a word. Turnovers tonight for Tahad. He only has 3. The most came from Chaney. Chaney had a pretty bad night turnover-wise. So did Denver. We'll get to the turnovers here in a little bit. Y'all know exactly where I'm going to harp on. So whether you want to give some love to Dylan, some love to Janai, CBM, whoever in this game, there were some decent performances that put Auburn in position to win, just not the best that we've seen out of a lot of them individually. Let's look at team stats, and we'll look at some of your comments too as we go along. Y'all know exactly where I'm going. Say it with me. Free throws, turnovers, rebounds, or whichever order you want to say them in. Those are the things that tell the tale of the tape. They may not win you the game outright or lose you the game outright, but they certainly will tell you whether you are in a position to win this game. Let's take a look at it. Free throws. Did I say free throws enough? Not horrendous tonight, but needed it to be so much better. You're probably, in my opinion, you make some of the free throws when you are in position to win. We're probably talking about Auburn moving on to the championship game, which is very, very frustrating. They will win and lose championships for you. 69.9% for Auburn from the free throw line, 16 out of 23. Just barely better than them was Florida, who missed some, ones down the stretch, only 70%. So literally separated by 0.4. That is a push in that situation. Both teams could have done better. So kind of hinting at the closeness of the game. Let's look at rebounds. 39-30 in Florida's favor. This is one of those stats where you kind of look and go, that might be one of the things that lifted over the edge for Florida. So they win that one with enough of a margin. That's a big check in their column. Let's look at turnovers. 16 turnovers for Florida, 14 for Auburn. Auburn wins that battle, but barely, but committing way more turnovers than they typically do throughout the wholeness of their season. They do win that category. It's just not by enough. If you make a few more of your free throws, if you don't turn the ball over as much, especially down the stretch, you're probably talking about a win here. Very frustrating. Very frustrating when you look at those little things. Let's take a look at the chat, see if there's anything we need to bring up as we go along throughout this. Jacob says, CBM played well, but we really needed another guard to step up and just didn't get it. It's one of those nights, but we got to give credit to CBM for stepping up when a lot of people have been asking for him to do that. Can we go over who we are losing for next season after you run? Yes, Corey, I said that we're going to do the post stuff after that, and who knows who we're going to lose. So this is just a preliminary discussion about it. This is from Micah. He says turnovers really hurt Auburn, I think, more than free throws, especially in the second half. Florida was locking down in the second half, though. Yeah, and I didn't do this at the top of the chat because I'm in a new space. Not new. Things are set up different. So I'm a little bit thrown off, a little bit disappointed. Credit to Florida. Hats off, tip off, whatever you want to do. Tip of the cap to Florida. Outstanding basketball team. We gave them everything that we could. Much better game than last time. The Gators are the better team this year. That's been proven twice now. They won the SEC tournament. We won the SEC regular season tournament, which I would argue is a little bit more difficult. Either way, they're moving on. They were the better team. Congrats to them. Great basketball team. And I will not be rooting for them, but I can still recognize how good a basketball team they were. Jacob says we won rebounds in the first half. I'm pretty sure. I can probably confirm that for you. I'm using a different stat sheet than I typically get access to, so it may not break it down for me. I do not have access to that. But Jacob, that's a great point, and it may be correct. Let me look at what Micah was talking about, not just about turnovers, but points off of turnovers. This is what I brought up to you, what Bruce was talking with his staff about. There's a video out there showing 16 points off of turnovers for Florida, only 6 for Auburn. Honestly, and when you talk about differentials, the separation between each of these teams in all the team stats, that is the biggest one. The differential of 10. 9 was the rebounds. That's a good one too. There's your probably difference in the game. I always like to look for that big stat. Florida did better, especially in the second half, and negated some of the areas where Auburn won. Now, what I am very proud of this chat for so far, and maybe this is a good thing that we had to start so late, so we got rid of some of the negative Nancy's and people that want to make excuses. But let me address the referees tonight. What do I always say to you guys? Make this statement right up the front so nobody can mistake me trying to make excuses. You should never be in a position in the game where the refs can affect the outcome of your game. I hate it when refs alter the course of the game and take over and make it more about them. That's very frustrating, but you as the team hold the responsibility of not being in a position for the refs to alter the course of the game for you. With that being said, I think we can all look at this game down the stretch and point out that there were some very questionable calls against Auburn throughout the second half, especially 22-15 personal fouls. That's a huge discrepancy. Not huge. It's a large discrepancy, especially in the second half. Very, very, very frustrated with what happened throughout the game. I'm also frustrated that we were in a position for that to make a bigger difference for us. But let's not make excuses. Let's not be Bama fans. Micah. You know what you get when you come here, Micah. We're going to mess with you as much as you mess with us. But I do want to acknowledge that it's not an excuse, but it is a fact of the game. Let's see what else we got in here. Anything else about the game before we need to move on? Tim points out it was reported by Bruce Pearl. CBM was playing with a torn ligament in his wrist. It's a great point, Tim, and let's add that to our discussions about him being player of the game. He wins, offensively as the top scorer of the game. That makes it pretty easy to pick him. But then you looked at some of his other stats with that wrist. Can we just, this is a great thing here. Tim, thank you so much for bringing this up. Let's take the juxtaposition of Chad Baker Mazzara's exit with like a minute in, not even a minute in, I think, in his first tournament game with Auburn last year, his final tournament game of this year. What a journey for him. That's an incredible thing for him to do with that adversity, putting the team in some ways on his back, being the leading scorer with a torn ligament. You got to give a lot of kudos and credit to CBM tonight. So it makes me very happy that we're doing that. Derek giving some credit to CBM as well. So I'm glad that everybody's really recognizing this. Jacob says Florida really beat up on us in the second half. Physicality got turned way up and we couldn't make a good enough adjustment. Certainly they turned it up. We were not able to match the run. They had that one big run to start off and got them back into position to take control of the game. And I think from that point on, I really think the Elijah Martin dunk, or was it Chinyelu? Anyway, the big dunk, I think that was the one that kind of took the air out of Auburn's sails in a little bit. Okay, so we're 20 minutes in. That is team stats. That is individual stats. I'll leave it there with you guys. I know that y'all don't want me to belabor the point on there too long, but certainly if you've got something else from Auburn versus Florida, individual, team-wise, storyline-wise, please bring it up. We'll cover it in piecemeal as we finish out the show tonight. We will finish out with future discussion. I know that's what y'all been itching to talk about. A couple reminders for you. Right now, we are scheduled to do the Auburn Experience live broadcast recording tomorrow night at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. So join us for that if you can. It will be a bittersweet one as well, but there are still plenty, and I do mean plenty, to talk about in the Auburn Experience and celebrate, and we will celebrate this team. As far as my schedule, I am in Auburn currently. I will likely, I don't know what the schedule is going to be right now, to be honest with you. I'd like to stay until the team comes back to honor them, but we'll see what happens. I don't know if they'll be doing anything like they did last time for their first Final Four appearance. So we'll wait and see on that. But just stay tuned to social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, all the places for all the things from us and myself here at E2C Network. Got lots of content coming out for you still this week, even with basketball being done. I just saw a thing from Jabari Smith going out to the team and celebrating them a little bit. So there's a lot of honoring and celebrating going around for the team. Okay, so certainly let's shift the focus to future stuff for a minute. Let me stress this really quickly. We are operating with very little information right now. All of this is going to be speculative unless we are talking about something that we already know for a fact, like that CBM potentially has the best chance to come back next year. Tahad would have he's a freshman. Ja'Kai Howard. There's, walk-ons and things like that. But you're pretty much guaranteed to lose the majority of this team. It's a reality, folks. This is part of the reason why I told you to enjoy this season while you had it. Enjoy this team while you had it, because they're about to all be gone. There is speculation out there about does Cheney, does Denver, does I think those are the main two. Anybody else have any eligibility because of these weird rules? Potentially. Auburn picked up a big commitment and signee this week. We've already done a video about him, Keyshawn Hall. He'll be coming in. Some others that are potentially out there. Lots of speculation. Here's my biggest, and I know I'm preaching to the choir here, or it's falling on deaf ears. Please do not obsess over guys who are not here yet. Just wait and see what happens, and then we'll certainly talk about them. I get it. I know that there are a lot of big names out there with some Auburn connections that maybe look like they might be coming. I don't know. But I'm begging you, I'm pleading you for your mental well-being. Don't obsess over people that have not committed yet to Auburn. We will that when they get here, they will get here, and we will certainly dive into them a little bit. But a lot of the questions are centralized about who on this team will be back. I know some of it is about Tahad. Will he go to the draft? A lot of talk about that this week. You never know. Bruce has been very, very good about supporting guys in their decision and being honest with them. He's also been, probably good at selling guys on coming back. We'll see how all that shakes out. All right. If you got some comments or questions about the future, you can certainly bring that up. Let's look through the chat a little bit. 313, good to see you. Says, War Eagle, tough game, but proud of the team. Those sentiments continue. All of this. Unbeaten Lake says, we won't be as good next year, but I do have faith Bruce will get this team back to where they need to be. Could take a couple of years. Maybe not. It might just pop up and surprise you like that 2019 team. I do not think that there's going to be a big drop-off next year. Now, I guess that depends on what you personally define as a big drop-off. Some people are going to have such ridiculous, at least right now, opinions that if we don't make the Final Four, then that's a major disappointment. We'll see how the team shapes out, the schedule shakes out, what's the competition look like in the conference, the rest of the league, all that stuff. But I do not think that this team will have much of a drop-off, even with a lot of new faces. There's just something weird about that I have a personal feeling about. No, really, it's all speculation, just kind of where I'm sitting at right now. I am secure in this program's future. Jacob says, this one stings, but at least it wasn't a double dribble. I did have that thought as you're trying to process things, as it clearly showed down the line we weren't going to work out. I was like, well, at least this isn't a gut-wrenching non-double dribble call, foul call at the end of the game. It's a close game. It's a good game, but certainly Florida was in position to control the end of it, which made it a little bit easier to process at the end of these things. Is there any way we could possibly keep Ja'Kai Howard? He's super talented, but lacks maturity. Well, Derek, you don't know that necessarily. I mean, I think it's easy for us to say he lacks maturity because we have those incidents to go off of. You might say compared to others on the team. I mean, you're comparing him to guys like Dylan Cardwell. So it really creates a dichotomy there. Here's what I'll say about this. I don't know. I see a lot of reason for him to stick around. I see a lot of reason for him to go other places too. I'm not fretting about it. You shouldn't fret about it. I know it's, again, I'm speaking, everything I say in that category is falling on deaf ears sometimes, but maybe the kids learn to value what he's getting here in Auburn and help him grow in a lot of different ways. Feel like I'm talking too much, but thoughts on the whole, look. Micah knows the thing from the TikTok. Tim says, huge step up in growth by CBM. Love him playing through being hurt as well as Broome. They love Pearl and Auburn and left it all on the floor. That is definitely not up for question. Their effort was there. Next year's team will look really different. Maybe it will be in Nike uniforms. They'll look different just in that alone. So your final season in Under Armour for basketball made it to a Final Four. Tony Barbie, you got fired, buddy. But Tony Barbie, it wasn't the apparel. It was you, kid. It was you. 2 Final Fours later, I don't think Under Armour is what kept you from building a good program here at Auburn. We can plainly say that. And even if you're a Nike person and don't like Under Armour, we could all agree on that. That was a ridiculous take by Tony Barbie. WT says we have the number 1 small forward in the portal coming in next year. So, yeah, and keep in mind the rankings, the stars, all that stuff, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things what you put together. There's a great graphic I've seen out this week talking about the breakdowns of all these different teams and showing quote-unquote stars, breakdown of, what Duke has is 5 stars galore. And certainly that, when you have that amount of those highly regarded players, certainly it kind of makes a difference. But what Bruce has done with finding guys that were 3 stars, not ranked, they don't matter as much sometimes as we obsess about them, the rankings, the stars and things like that. It's not what you come in with, it's what you leave with. Jacob says, transfer portal, always a quick reload, but we don't have the money that other teams do. I wouldn't be so sure about that. Now, it depends on who you're talking about, right? I wouldn't be so sure. I've heard from very... I'm not saying like inside sources. These are media members that talk about this stuff all the time that certainly have their sources have been very clear saying that Auburn does not lack in money, at least for what they need to utilize it for in the transfer portal. I'm assuming we'll get some developmental guys still from Jacob with a few years left. Be back in 2 years. I can't stress this enough, guys. This is my own personal speculation and feelings about this. I do not think there's going to be that big of a drop-off. Again, that depends on what you think. Maybe it is like 2 years and you're back in the Final Four type of situation. And I think that's a reasonable turnaround after everything you're losing. But right where I'm sitting right now, where this program's sitting at with 2 Final Four appearances and probably should have been a 3rd had they gotten to play the COVID season. I know that's a bit of a hot take, but I'm pretty sure that team was about to go on a hot run. Got nothing but... trust and faith in what Bruce Pearl has built. Let's see here. With Bruce having Kessler and Janai back-to-back, I feel really good about whoever is big that we get, and I think that's a great way to think about it as well. WT is really excited about Keyshawn Hall. This is from Micah. Let's see. Where did it go? I lost it on my screen here. Do you think anyone that's not a don't get minutes player will transfer out? Sure. I mean, that's going to be the guys that have eligibility that we know of left. That's going to be Jakai. That's going to be about it. So he's really the one that you're wondering about. And a lot of people are worried about, and I continue to stress, don't be, not because it's not going to happen. That's not what I'm saying. Just, we don't need to fret so much about these things. Bruce might be a center and power forward whisperer. Not a bad way to think about it as well. Tim says we should all trust Bruce's staff ability to evaluate talent as he has done every year. Any guesses where Trey Donaldson ends up next year? No, he's not Auburn, so I don't think about him. Love Trey. Wish he still was here and and could have been part of this, but he's not part of the Auburn experience anymore. So he really doesn't have any rent in my head. All right, couple more comments. And see, I forgot he was even committed to Miami. There you go. There's 3 on 3. A couple more comments and let's get out of here. Jacob says, I don't think we'll drop off much, maybe just out of the top tier of the SEC. That's okay, but this is all speculation. Transfer portal works in mysterious ways, is what he says. Yeah, we don't know what the SEC is going to look like next year. A lot of these teams had some upperclassmen talent. Transfer portal wreaks havoc. It could be completely different every year. Kevin, our Captain Optimism, he says we should have won. We all agree with you, Kevin. All right. Anything else? I think we've covered the majority of it, folks. I figured we were going to get this question. I'm surprised it took this long. Derek asked this. So we're going to discuss this ad nauseum here. For here on TikTok forever. Do you believe Stephen Pearl will take a head coaching job? I'm going to say this again, as everybody should say. I do not know. I do not know Stephen. I do not know Bruce. I don't know anybody that could give me an inkling into that. Here's what I do know. He is clearly a good coaching candidate. I forget what team he opened up about in a radio show that he got either an interview for or asked about. And I think it was a pretty decent job for his start. So the fact that he's getting those types of eyes obviously means there's attention there. The question you ask is it better? There has been pretty much 100% verbal confirmation, Kyle talk, that there seems to be a succession plan in place. Could that be? We don't know for a fact. There's been speculation. There's been some things that have been said by Bruce that pretty much confirm it for me. But that doesn't mean that he won't go away and come back. I don't know. I am going to, once again, encourage our audience here, the Auburn fan base at large, there's just a lot of worrying being done about things that you can't control. When that day comes, when Bruce Pearl retires, we'll certainly dive into that a little bit more. What I know right now is I believe we are secure with Bruce and what he's here today, and that what he will continue to do will make us successful. If one of his current staff, his son or otherwise, takes over, I would also feel that way. Certainly, if you bring someone new in, there's a lot of question marks, no matter how good their pedigree might be. Say you brought Todd Golden in, since he can beat us clearly. Even that, as being a Bruce guy, would mean some changes and some bumps around a little bit as you change schemes, systems, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. We will certainly think about it more. We'll listen closely, see if anything else is said about that. But that's going to be on the table a lot this offseason. Let's see. It's unfortunate Bruce might have created his biggest challenger for the next 10 years. That's a great thing to think about in Todd Golden. But what an honor that Bruce is the guy that gave him one of his starts, his help to get to where he is today. That's your coaching tree. And sometimes your legendary coaching status is built by your coaching tree. So that's an honor for Bruce. Anything else? Let me look through here. I hope other Auburn football teams use this as motivation. Listen, that's said a lot, Corey. I just don't and I just keep it, and my encouragement to you is to keep it about the basketball team. Certainly, we're a family. Certainly, it's the whole of the Auburn experience. But you know, I just like to encourage and focus on praising this team, and certainly hope for the best with football, regardless of that. I know you do as well, but right now, that's where I'm still trying to process through all these things. This is from Swift. Says Pearl brought us to 2 Final Four appearances, brought us from the ground up. We have to execute more. It'll be different next year, but excited. But I'm excited. What a season. All right. Let's end it there. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for your patience this evening. A little bit longer show. Y'all had to wait a little bit more for this to go live. This is the last one that we will do, a live stream this season. Let that sink in for a second. I have enjoyed every single one of these. The majority of them, the vast majority of them, were really, really fun to talk about. Even in the losses, they were still fun to talk about because I love talking basketball with you all. I am not an expert in this, and you can probably clearly tell that, but I am a student of this. And I hope to never be an expert. I hope to always be a student learning. I hope that you guys find value in these talking basketball every single week. It's going to be weird not doing this with you. We're not done here at E2C Network. We have got plenty of content out there for you on Wednesday and Sunday nights and stuff in between. So don't go anywhere. Spring football is here. Got plenty of that going on and other things in the Auburn experience. You guys have been the best little family within the Auburn family, and I've enjoyed what has been arguably the greatest men's basketball season in Auburn history. And we got to sit down, we got to talk about it and enjoy it together. To this basketball team, we are so proud of you. Bruce and the boys did us good. Back in the Final Four, and we ain't done yet. War Eagle.